Welcome back, Poozers, to another Green Lanterns podcast. I'm your host, as always, Will Smith of Sector 2814, and on today's episode, I'm going to be bringing you potentially bad news. Bad news, but with a possible twist. You see, what we're looking at on screen here is the only promo image we have seen for Lanterns in its entirety since it was announced. We have on screen Hal Jordan being played by Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre, who is playing John Stewart. John in this image does not have a Green Lantern ring, but Hal does. We got this image forever ago, and from a marketing standpoint, in an official capacity, it has been radio silence since. And it's not just us Green Lantern fans who have noticed the radio silence and trying to figure out what is going on with marketing. There's been others who have also asked even James Gunn at this point about the marketing. We are pulling an article from Yahoo Entertainment, but it comes from a YouTube interview from Boba Talks, where Gunn revealed that he had taken a look at the impending adventure with two of the toughest members of the GLC, but couldn't clarify when the rest of the world would. James Gunn is quoted, "I've seen the peak, I think, or at least where it is now, but I have no clue when that's planned to be shown. With HBO, my expertise so far as that goes, my knowledge of marketing is primarily based around films. I have a lot of experience going through the marketing of many films and seeing things that work, seeing things that don't work, and I'm so involved in all of that," Gunn explained. "I am equally involved with the actual materials that you're seeing for the television shows, but in terms of the scheduling, I'm not as knowledgeable as I am with film." It goes on to say, but while Gunn couldn't nail down a date as to when these legendary ring slingers would light it up in the show's first teaser, he assured that Stewart and Jordan would play a significant part in the DCU beyond the approaching debut season. Couple things of note in there. One, even James Gunn has no idea when HBO is actually going to market the show, and it doesn't feel like he has a hint of when that is happening. Two, he mentions both Stewart and Jordan playing a significant part in the DCU beyond the approaching debut season. And three, the other big thing that I like in here is that they are referring to it as the debut season, implying that if it goes well, we will continue to get more seasons of Lanterns, and I would absolutely love that. I would also really like if they would split it up where it's not following John and Hal in season 2, it was following two other Lantern Corps members, kind of like what they do with True Detective. But back to the marketing side we go. James Gunn has no idea when they're going to market it, but we do know that the show has officially wrapped. You can see here from many moons ago, 12 weeks at this point, at least the last time Ulrich Thomsen edited this, he said, "Bye for now, Sinestro. I'll keep one side for later. Hope to see you again at DC Official." Ulrich Thompson's playing Sinestro on the show, and 12 weeks ago, he was sharing with the world that he has wrapped filming and he was done. On top of him announcing that he was done with filming, we also have a more recent confirmation, and this more recent confirmation that came last week, and it was from Aaron Pierre doing an interview with Esquire where he said, "We recently wrapped Lanterns. It was an enormous shoot. It was of a grand scale in every sense of the word, and again, I've just been so fortunate. When I have interviews like this, it encourages me to reflect. I've been so fortunate to be surrounded by extraordinary collaborators and directors and crew and cast and just people who care. People who are fundamentally grateful. People who want to put the best work out that they physically can. We're all very proud of this and very excited. It's been a long time coming for many fans and supporters, and I truly hope with all my heart that we make everybody proud and we make everybody thrilled that we did this, because we're thrilled and we're proud." Now that's two different actors on the show who have officially come out publicly and said that the show has wrapped filming. If we've wrapped, we should start marketing, as far as I am concerned. If we take a little stroll down memory lane, originally people were hoping that we would get something at San Diego Comic-Con in July of this year for Lanterns, and we did not. It was radio silence. The next best bet to get some sort of footage, film, or another still shot for lanterns was going to be at New York Comic Con just a little while ago because we were having the Peacemaker finale. At the finale, you would think the next thing after Peacemaker is going to be lanterns. What better way to hand off marketing going, hey, let's market the crap out of the finale of Peacemaker and also remind people that the next thing we have coming up is going to be lanterns. And you know what happened at New York Comic Con? We heard nothing. The last bit of hope that we had for a recent development is if you guys have followed me over to Lanterns Live, where Ralph and I talk about all things Lantern related as well and do live streams doing comic reviews. During those shows, we have talked about a couple times now that in November, HBO does a sizzle reel of footage of things that they're going to air early next year. Because as far as we know, Lanterns is still projected to air early 2026. And fingers crossed, that's what we want. If we're going to see something early 2026, it really needs to be in this sizzle reel. Otherwise, we're not marketing a show coming out early 2026 until basically early 2026 because we're at the end of 2025 now. Behind the scenes, I've been hearing rumblings and grumblings that this is not going to be the case and that we're not going to see anything because anything in that sizzle reel should have already been like finished and furnished. It's been edited and it's good to go. This thing that you want to show the world to give people a great idea of what the tone of the show is going to be, what the style is going to look like, it needed to be turned into HBO probably a bit ago, and they only just recently wrapped the filming. So it's just not ready. Because of that, I've been scouring the web looking for any clues or hints as to anything that we can get in terms of more information to get an accurate idea of when we are going to see more Lanterns news. And I was linked this article only recently, but it actually came out at the beginning of October on October 3rd. Now, this article is where the start of the bad news is really kicking in and coming from. This comes from The Hollywood Reporter. Aaron Couch and Boris Kidd are the people who did the Heat Vision newsletter that went out to people's emails. It just has 3 relevant paragraphs to what I have to go over here, and I'm just going to read them for you real quick. And again, this was on October 3rd. Fall is in full swing, and the summer of Superman is officially over. After months of seemingly nonstop DCU, the Peacemaker Season 2 finale hits next week, and insiders are happy with the rollout. Again, this article came out on October 3rd. Included its audience growing weekly and a strong 96% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. The finale will mark the last of the Gunverse until June's Supergirl. But that doesn't mean folks over at DC Studios are sitting idly by. Clayface is currently shooting in London while back home. Supergirl had a quiet screening on the Burbank lot with a select group of executives and a few members of James Gunn's trusted DC stable that somehow does not include me. Going over this information again, they share that the finale will mark the last of the Gunverse that we will see until June's Supergirl, which makes it sound like Lanterns is being skipped over or is being delayed / pushed back for whatever reason. I saw a few people rumbling and grumbling on the internet, trying to figure out if this was just simply Lanterns got forgotten about, because it wouldn't be the first time, or maybe they didn't list Lanterns because we don't have an actual date. We just keep hearing early 2026. I'm not Batman. I'm not the world's greatest detective, but I'm decent in terms of like journalistic integrity. So I decided, Aaron Couch and Boris Kidd, I'm going to reach out to you guys and ask a few questions about this Heat Vision newsletter on October 3rd. And when I did that, I wrote to them, quote, from me, in your Heat Vision newsletter on October 3rd, 2025, you guys reported that Supergirl will be the next thing that we see in the DCU after the Peacemaker finale, but the plan has always been to have Lanterns first in early 2026. Does this mean that there's been a delay in Lanterns, or did it not get included because we don't have a date for it yet? Love the work you guys have been doing for a lot of my favorite TV shows and movies, and hopefully you have time to reply back, but I also know that you guys are very busy. Oddly and coolly enough, that the folks over at The Hollywood Reporter were kind enough to see my email and also reply back to it. I'm going to share this on the screen, but I also understand if it is very difficult for you guys to see. But basically, they wrote back to me, "You are quite the eagle-eyed reader. Yes, we expect lanterns will now come after Supergirl." And that hurt my heart. That hurt my heart. And I was like, maybe they don't feel confident in this information. They don't really stand behind it. Maybe if I do a follow-up email and ask them when they'll put this out, or if they're willing to put this out on their own, maybe they'll be like, hey, don't do that. Don't put it out. Don't say like it came from us. But no, they actually doubled down, more or less, and just confirmed exactly what they wrote in their original newsletter. And again, I'll put this on the screen. I know it may be difficult to read, but basically they just said, if you want to mention on your podcast, feel free to refer to what we reported in the newsletter. And if you want, you can say you checked in with us to confirm that that's what we were saying in the newsletter. And what they mean is they are standing by. They didn't forget that Lanterns was coming out, and they didn't exclude Lanterns because we didn't have an official date for it or a month or anything like that. They left Lanterns out because from what they're hearing, and again, this is the Hollywood Reporter. They're one of the biggest trades in the world when it comes to Hollywood news and media and coverage. It's like the Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and Deadline are like the big three for the most part for the general public. If they're putting information out, they're getting it from a source that they absolutely trust. And everything that they are hearing is obviously telling them that Lanterns is going to come out now after Supergirl. And Supergirl comes out in June. And if it were me and I had my way, if Lanterns is not going to come out before Supergirl, and we have to wait until June for Supergirl anyway now, we might as well wait for August. And the reason I say that is because if we wait until August, that means it gives them all of July to stop marketing Supergirl and market Lanterns. On top of that, what happens in July? Every year, it's San Diego Comic-Con. We could get a very elite, awesome experience with some footage via Hall H, maybe a Q&A with some of the cast that worked on the show, maybe a meet and greet. We can get lantern rings given out. It would just be the best way to market the show at that point. And at that point, I feel like you owe fans pretty big who are following the show because of the lack of marketing so far. It would mean a lot to see like a big show for the show. You know, show it love. Show us that you're confident in it at this point. Show us that you think that it is going to be a success and people are going to dig it and that, you know, you really believe in this as well. At least that's my take on it. If you're going to delay it at that point, delay it until after Comic-Con so we can get a really awesome experience at San Diego Comic-Con and maybe really do this thing big. That's the news for the day. The Hollywood Reporter is definitely standing by their story, their information that they're getting, that Lanterns is no longer going to be the next thing in the DCU, that it will be Supergirl and then Lanterns after that. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below, whether you're hurt, whether you're still hyped, still looking forward to it. Are you disappointed in this news, or do you kind of understand? At the end of the day, for me, it's like early 2026 is right around the corner, and I wouldn't want the team working in a crunch and possibly giving us a lesser experience on the show. This should really give it the time it needs to polish it up, make sure all the visual effects are exactly what it needs to be, the audio on point, and everything is good to go. Hope you guys have a great week, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.